Welcome back, everyone. We have got a really fun little session that we're getting ready to do. So some of you may know that I co-host a podcast about Tableau with my bud, my data best friend forever, Matt Francis. And so it's so much fun. We have great conversations. And so we're doing a little TFF APAC hijack of the Tableau Wannabe podcast, which you can subscribe to on iTunes and SoundCloud. So go check it out. But we're going to do a little TFF APAC hijack of the podcast. And Fee and I are going to take it over. And we're going to have a conversation with JJ Phillips. And so, Fee, why don't you tell us a little bit about JJ and kick it off?
So JJ is the Alteryx Country Manager, and he's doing a superb job at spreading the news about Alteryx across Australia and New Zealand. And more importantly, he happens to mentor me on occasions. People talk about finding the right mentor, and I know you, Em, have actually done a lot of work about matching people up. And sometimes it can be tough to, find that right fit. But somehow, some way, a little while ago at Data 14 in Seattle, I actually bumped into JJ, and I was fortunate enough to meet him. And he's a bit fearless and he's super funny, and I didn't quite know how to take him to start with, but I really appreciate his sage advice that more often than not actually jolts me into a world that I didn't even know was possible. So please welcome JJ to the Fringe Fest and our Wannabe podcast hijack, and we will get to talk to JJ and ask him some questions. And I know that you and I have got some questions, but hopefully people that are on the live chat can post through their questions and they can find out all the things that they want to know. The Ask Me Anything session with Alteryx. Hey JJ, so I can see you there. Can you unmute your line? Oh, we can't hear you yet. Let me see.
What about now?
Yes. No technical difficulties. That's awesome. So,
what technical help? Right.
How are you today? You well?
I am. Thank you.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So we're going to start running through some questions, but first out, where we usually start on the podcast, or maybe I'm hijacking a little bit now.
It's a great place.
Watch out. So usually people start out by telling what their data story is, how they actually got involved with data, and where they are now and why.
Okay, good question. So I've been working with data really ever since I was at university. I was a psychologist for some time, and I dealt with data on a day-to-day basis, albeit emotional data. So, you've got to take emotional data and actually provide a score for that data to assess lots of different characteristics about an individual or about a situation or about a prognosis or diagnosis for a particular individual. But I'm not big on emotional data. This anecdotal analytics has always kind of done my head in until I found a product like Tableau and Alteryx, which really, it does my head in a very different positive way, because I can actually, live the Tableau dream of seeing and understanding the data that I have in front of me.
That's awesome.
So that's really my data story, and now I haunt other data professionals as much as I possibly can.
You haunt them? How do you haunt them? Explore that a little more.
I'm sure all the people that I haunt are on the line. Good people like yourself and Adrian and Vaishali and all those good types of people that are of the same kind of thought process. They're interested in data. They're constantly shifting the needle in terms of data literacy.
So take us, I'm curious, how did you go from being interested in using Tableau to now working on the Alteryx side?
So that's a great question, Emily. I think that the thing for me is that, so I'm ex-Tableau. I spent 18 months, 2 years at Tableau in their public sector practice here in Australia. And Tableau is this amazing product. And the reason I moved, the reason that the shift came was simply one reason. Not everyone had a data discovery, data visualization problem. But every single person in government that I was speaking to at the time, they all had a data problem. They wanted to wrangle their data in a way that they couldn't. They wanted to do it from a business point of view and not necessarily a technical IT point of view. So when the opportunity arrived for me to knock on the door of Alteryx and to work for Alteryx, I jumped at it immediately. And I see lots of the Tableau community doing exactly the same. They want to do, they've got their data visualization and data discovery, and now they want to wrangle their data. They want to get some more from their data. And it's been a great use case in terms of a great marriage, in terms of that Tableau Alteryx paradigm and story.
Yeah, that's so awesome, because you're right. It's going to be tough to visualize data if you can't get it into a reportable, consumable manner. So that's so yay for you for stepping over to that side, because I think we definitely do need that.
So I've got a question for you, JJ. So you've worked with Tableau and you're now the Alteryx Country Manager. And I know a lot of people in our community actually use both of the products. I even remember you introducing me, or would I say shoving me towards the Alteryx stand, saying, you have to get to this stand. But what is
that hasn't changed.
No, I know.
Whoever's on the line, I think there's 60 odd people on the line, all of them need to get to an Alteryx stand.
That's absolutely right. I agree wholeheartedly with you. You were absolutely right. But what are some of the great things that you've seen customers doing with both products?
I think there's possibly a couple of things that I've seen, and not to breach any NDAs. I think there's the one thing that impresses me the most about the joint use of both Tableau and Alteryx together is people using human data humanly. And what do I mean by that? There was a use case in the New York Times about the wealthy kids in upper New York being manic depressives, and that kind of hit the New York Times, and there was lots of tweets about it, and but it wasn't data that was being used humanly. What people didn't realise is the school, the prep school in upper state New York, was actually right next door to a cemetery. So all of these people that were attending funerals and other bits and pieces were tweeting, but it got back and it was linked to the school. Imagine if something terrible had happened in that scenario, and a student who was slightly depressed decided to do something, in a terrible way. So it's not using data humanly. And I think the Tableau community, the Alteryx community, the things that have impressed me the most is how they use human data more humanly than people have done so in the past. The other thing that really impresses me, and I think maybe that's just the data geek in me, is that, that shift towards temporal analytics. We see, Tableau, I can't remember anyone asking about a shapefile or a polygon boundary before Tableau. It just didn't exist, I'm sure of it. But now everyone asks, and I think this temporal analytics, this space where people are doing some amazing things is really that the driving between time and motion, or time and space. What is the movement of our data over time? What is the cost of that? It really becomes down to, the data economy in a lot of ways. How much is this data worth to us? And some of the organizations, from whether they're telcos or whether they're banking, finance and insurance companies, whether they're small marketing organizations, they're doing some really unique things in driving temporal analytics. And it's something that it blows me away. And I work in this space every single day.
It's really interesting. So you've mentioned a few different lines there, and I know from chatting with you as well, you have a really good knack at breaking down business problems into things that you can actually create value with. Do you have a few tips on how your brain actually works to break those things down so simply and articulate things so clearly?
Look, I pay an analyst a lot of money to help me break that down, so possibly no. But I think, the thing for me is, in all of that, it's around, I always talk about data literacy and data education, become and a sense of data maturity. So I think whenever you get an opportunity to educate yourself on data, take the opportunity, whether that's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour or 2 hours. And there's some great nano degrees coming up now through Udacity in combination with Alteryx and Tableau. And I think that's a great spot to start for some people, whether that's in predictive analytics or whether that's in business analytics. It doesn't really matter. It's around educating yourself, and in turn, you start to educate the community. So I think, education is one thing. Data literacy is another big thing. At a lot of my conferences that I speak at, I always pull up a few things around data literacy, because everyone in the room always puts up their hand, well, yep, I'm data literate. Well, that's great, but the reality is that you start to put up some data, they become a little bit confused by the data, whether it's binary. Most people can recognize binary as a binary data set. Ask them what it means. I don't know what it means. Ask them how they find that out. And some of them, the most literate data people in the country, can't unravel a binary data set. So increasing of the data literacy is an important part of what we do, and I think Tableau has done an amazing job of that. People are now talking about spatial files, spatial data in a way that they've never done. Alteryx, I think, took that to a whole new paradigm and on a whole new level. So I think education and literacy is the other thing. And don't be hard on people that don't have the same data maturity as Zen masters. We all start somewhere, and it takes them some time. I've got a Tableau viz that I use, and it's a personal visualization that I use. And I think, see, I've told you this about my partner and I downloaded all of our emails and I ran it through sentiment analysis.
I can't believe you're going there right now.
The interesting thing was, it wasn't so much the running that, because it was interesting. I didn't have to share it with anyone except myself, and I thought I would share it with my partner. But the biggest thing for me was, what type of Tableau viz should I create? People get all hung up about word cloud. Well, I think word cloud over time was a great way of understanding what was the common theme in our communication. Whether it was where are we going on holidays? What are we eating? Who's taking our child to childcare? Which school are we sending our child to? They were all things that resonated quite highly in our communication. Sentiment. Let's move the sentiment part to park that for a moment. But the Tableau thing, there was such variety in the types of visualization types that I could choose from. Sometimes, I'm certainly not a Zen master, but I can pull together a Tableau visualization, and it's about, was that Tableau visualization pleasing for myself? Should I have done blue for me and pink for my partner? Well, I don't really know, but so data maturity increases, data literacy increases. And by the way, my partner's an actuary, so she gets data better than what I do.
But how did she get this data? How was it received? Because this takes quantified self to a whole new level, right?
Now we're talking about, if I move that back to my days as a psychologist, it's about self-actualization. It's Maslow's theory, his hierarchy there. So let's just leave it at that.
JJ, I have to tell you that I know that we've just met on the podcast, but I love your passion. Oh my God, it makes me so excited. I'm just sitting here going, yes, I love it. Oh, you're so great. Okay, I can listen to you forever.
This is personal data that you can relate to. You have communication, you send emails all the time. We always say there's no tone in email. Well, you know what? Liar, pants on fire, because there's absolutely tone in email. There are tools now that you can run sentiment analysis, which will tell you exactly what that tone looks like. So there's lots of tools available in this data space.
Yeah, it's called JJ with his wife. I'm like, seriously.
Oh, we might have to switch gears a little bit. That might get a little dicey about going down that path some. So JJ, tell us, it's just a few friends here, amongst friends. Tell us, is there something exciting coming up on the Alteryx roadmap that you can share with us?
Oh, it's always a tough one because,
it's just us. It's just us.
I think, obviously version 11 is coming out next year, and I think there's going to be heaps of cool functionality. The things that seem to get people all excited is this IntelliSense. And we're starting to see a little bit of it in Tableau. We're going to see a lot more of it in version 11. But go onto the Alteryx community and start to vote things up if you want to see them in future releases, because some of the little things, and I know that Fiona was at the Inspire in Europe and spoke to product management and other bits and pieces. So some of the things that Fiona spoke to about making it easier to transition from one platform to another platform, it's universal. It doesn't really matter whether I'm on, Excel or Alteryx. I can still make that. That could be the best feature for yourself. It may not be the best feature for other people. Well, am I going to use IntelliSense as much as someone like yourself? I don't really know. So it's always hard to say. For me, that seems to be the big one. There's improvements coming in Server and Alteryx Gallery, and there's so many wonderful things coming in the version 11 release next year. It's really hard to say which one's going to tickle your fancy or the fancy of others on the line.
What a politician.
Yeah, I know. That's a good response.
I certainly know when I was at Inspire, one of the things, and it's probably a little bit more edge case that did excite me a lot, was they're bringing in some operations research, which is something that I studied way back when, which essentially is hardcore mathematics that allows you to optimize things. So, if you want to optimize your profit, but you've got several different inputs, about, costs and time to get to market and different things, it helps you to actually define it, and you push in these parameters into Alteryx and it will spit out for you the best results. So that's pretty exciting to see that coming through. I think there's also some great search functionality that they're working on. So one of the things about Alteryx for me is there are so many tools. How do I teach people where they need to go and what they need to do? And so there's going to be search functionality that's going to make it a lot easier to have natural language search in there, and it'll link everything through, which means if you're just starting out in Alteryx, this is the best time that you can start out because it will come through. So yeah, it's pretty exciting to see the roadmap growing. And I think, Alteryx to me is, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but it's, growing at that stage that maybe Tableau was, 3-4 years ago. And so it's exciting to be able to jump on in and hopefully build the community as well and get involved.
Totally. Hands up who wants to do that.
Have fun. All right. So JJ, Data 16 is coming up soon in Austin, and it's for all the Tableau fans. What's the best way to keep in touch with what's coming up with Alteryx?
Are you kidding me? You really asked me that question? Go to the Alteryx stand. There's one thing. I think, people and data have to get together a little bit more often. Sometimes it's really easy for data people just to hide behind, a Tableau Viz or an Alteryx workstream or a workflow. Get in front of the Alteryx people, have a conversation, go to the Alteryx sessions, go to the Tableau session. There is so much. I learn so much every time I go to every time I go to a Tableau customer conference. I always go to the customer sessions. I'm never going to be a great Zen master by any stretch of the imagination. I don't have the time or the inclination, and possibly not even the creativity. But you know what? Customers always delight me and thrill me in terms of what they come up with. Sometimes it's just pure magic, and other times I sit there nodding my head. It's like, why haven't we done this before? Like, it just seems so simple. It seems so easy. Why haven't we done this before? And it's just, someone that's taken the time, the energy, and exercise that. So whoever on this call, I will be at Data 16. I will be at the Alteryx stand. I will get a list from this group, and if I don't see you at that Alteryx stand, I will come and haunt you personally myself.
I will search you out.
You better.
Yay. All right. So what are some of the trends that you're seeing for some of us data fans?
I think, I talked about it a little bit earlier about temporal analytics, time and space. It's the movement of data. So, Tableau are very good at putting, polygon boundaries and maps and other bits and pieces. Think about retail organizations. They want to shift people from one, we've got a retail outlet over here, and we've got another retail outlet over here, and I've got my home somewhere in the middle of that. Am I going to cannibalize store A versus store B, and how long would it take me to get to a particular retail outlet? Whether I'm interested in mobile phones, handbags, shoes, t-shirts, shorts, videos, who knows what that is, but how do I get there? What is the movement of a transaction over time, and what does that cost? Do you know, I was reading an article from EMC recently that talked about the digital shadow, everyone's digital shadow. So each individual has about 2 terabytes of information that surrounds them on a day-to-day basis, whether that's sitting on their computer or sitting in their bank account, sitting in their credit card account, sitting on, some device they've got at home. There's approximately 2 terabytes. On top of that, there's another 2 terabytes that we just don't even know about, whether that's video surveillance. It's that shadow that carries us around. And this is where temporal analytics will play a major part in qualifying how do we get some more information, whether that's telemetric data on our cars. When do I need to go? We see with fridges, with internet on your fridge, you need some more milk. Well, I should have picked that up yesterday possibly, or your milk's out of date. We're going to start to see this in analytics, and I'm seeing it in customers today. God, you can imagine where it's going to be in the next 12 months or the next 2 years or the next 5 years. That, I think, is pretty amazing. So infopath.cc, you can go on there, you can track your own. We have a 3-week cycle. So if you've got an Apple iPhone, if you've got Android, my condolences.
Suck it. Excuse me. Sorry, Emily.
Oh yeah. So who are some of the community members that we should follow, either on Twitter or the forum, that we can learn more about, and maybe thinking about who should we follow for like beginner advice or intermediate or ACE level?
Oh, that's a really good question. I haven't really given that a whole lot of attention. I like to keep those sort. There's the obvious. There's the likes of Laura Sellers and George Matthews and Ned Harding and Kane Glendenning and all of those sorts of people. But for me, try and follow your data heroes, because they're the people that will become Zen masters in the future. If they've got passion and they're interested in data and they're connected into the community and they're educated and they're increasing their data literacy, they will be the people to follow, because they will be the people that will take us to that next level in Tableau. They will take us to the next level in Alteryx. So, there's lots of people you can call out, but for me, it's really simple. Follow the people that you look to in your data ecosystem.
Okay. And so, for those of us who are starting out in Alteryx, so would the Alteryx ACEs be a good group to follow, or are they going to do more at the beginner level? Do they do more advanced stuff? Kind of what's the
I think it's more holistic. Alteryx is a pretty deep product when it comes to data. You've got the data wrangling aspect, and there are some great data wranglers. There's no doubt about that. And then there's the advanced analytics kind of capabilities, that traditional predictive space. And, it's moving, for Alteryx, it's moving some of those people away from the more legacy applications like SAS and SPSS and driving them towards Alteryx. Moving people from the data analyst into the data scientist kind of space. So there are people with that domain experience. And then there are the people with the spatial kind of experiences, which is a whole different level. Although we look at it from an Alteryx point of view as just data. Data is data. Whether that's in an Excel spreadsheet or whether that's in some kind of geospatial format, for us it's data. So it's a broad kind of offering that we have. So we look for people with great Alteryx skills for sure, but we also look for people that are engaged in the community, very much like yourself, very much like Fiona and others, that are not only engaged in the community, but are also interested in data and that are constantly providing feedback and helping out other customers. You know, I think one of the things that Tableau have done better than any company I've ever seen on this planet is to engage their data community so well. You know, and Alteryx and a lot of other companies have a lot to learn. I think Alteryx has come a long way and is getting better and better each and every day. But in part, it's because of the groundwork that Tableau have put into developing this ecosystem of data warriors. You know, 15,000 people in Austin, Texas, you know, all talking about data. It's a little bit crazy, right? You know, 15,000 crazy people in Texas talking about data. I would never have imagined that.
People in Texas. Sorry.
And it's like a rock show. I mean, it's like the vibe is so amazing. It does not feel like a data work kind of conference. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
People get super excited about it. That's what I love.
So Jack, we have a question. We have a question that's come through for you from Jordan. So just curious, is artificial intelligence a trend that you see coming through in 2017?
I think artificial intelligence is the end game for every software vendor in the marketplace today. So whether that's 2017 and 2018 and 2019 and 2020, it's going to be there. I think it's an aspirational goal, but it's a great goal to achieve, to aspire to.
Sure. Well, I think that we're just about out of time, but I really want to thank you for coming and joining us and sharing some great stories. You're truly one of my data heroes, and I really appreciate you taking the time out today to chat with us.
Anytime. Look forward to it. I look forward to it the next time, and I look forward to seeing everyone at Data 16.
Yay! Thank you so much. This is so great.
Thanks, JJ.
Thank you all. Bye now.
All right.
So
go for it, Pete.
You go. So next up, we're going to have a session from Sneha that's going to talk about tips and tricks for newbies in Tableau. It's a nice kind of short session, so it'll be good. You can have a bit of a short break now. I know we've only got a couple of minutes, but her session will only last for about 15 minutes. So you'll get to take some time out there. And I think, is it at this stage where I'm going to be saying good night to Emily?
Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you. So I'll just sign off really quickly to say thank you so much, Fee, and all of the presenters so far. And I know all of the ones who will be presenting that I'm going to be sleeping during in my bed, not at my laptop. Thank you so much for making this so fantastic. I hope that you have really enjoyed it so far and continue to be engaged throughout the rest of the conference. So thank you. It's so cliche, but it makes my heart happy. So thank you so much. And I hope that you all will be super excited to come back for a TFF APAC 2017.
Awesome. So Emily, we'll wish you farewell, but before you go, I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing this opportunity with you and me to put on the TFF APAC. It's been an incredible day so far. We've got some great sessions coming up. You are truly an inspiration for our community. The things you do for us, you know, is just incredible. I know that you've drawn me out of my shell, which some people might say not possible, but absolutely, it's absolutely true. And thank you for staying online for the hijack of the podcast. That was loads and loads of fun.
That was great. Thank you all so much. And okay, you've got 1 minute left.
Okay.
So I'll say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.